All right, welcome to Building a To-Do List app with Ruby on Rails. My name is John Elder from Codemy.com, and I'll be your instructor today. In this course, I'm going to build this really cool little to-do list with Ruby on Rails. So we're going to learn how to do some database stuff, how to add these list items to the database, how to manipulate it so you can check off items from your list, or delete items from your list, or run to the store, add other items, get these little messages at the top, and it's pretty cool. We can also delete all of the marked. Awesome. So I'm going to be running through this pretty quickly. If you want a more in-depth course, you can head over to my website, Codemy.com, and scroll down to the Ruby on Rails to-do list app. And this is the full expanded course. I go to a lot greater detail, so if you're interested, definitely check that out. So let's get started. I've got a basic cloud development environment up. You absolutely don't have to use this. Use whatever development tools you like. It's all pretty much the same. I'm going to start by building a scaffold that will take care of all the functionality of our app. So we're going to create two database columns, a description, which is a string, and this completed, which is a Boolean. Boolean is true or false. So this will allow us to add things to our database, to-do list items, and mark whether they've been completed or not, whether they've been checked off the list or not. So go ahead and create that. And before we push this migration, I need to make a quick change. I want this completed Boolean to be false by default. So whenever we create a new item in our list, it'll automatically be not checked off. That makes sense, right? So let's save this and close it. And now we can rake db migrate, push this migration into our database. Okay, so we can check our app views, and now we have this lists folder with a whole bunch of stuff. So I want to head over to our config folder and change our routes to add the index page that we just created with our scaffolding as our main root URL. So I'm going to save this, and then I can go ahead and run the project real quick and make sure everything worked correctly. All right, so we've got this listing list things. We can create a new list, and I can say walk the dogs. Okay, so walk the dogs. Here's a list. We can create another one. Take out the trash. Cool. So one thing I'm noticing when I add these new items to our list, it's redirecting us to this list page instead of to our root. So let's go ahead and fix that real quick. Head over to our controller and our lists controller. And I'm just gonna look through here for all of these redirections. And instead of this, I'm gonna go root URL. And same thing here, root URL. Here's a list URL. Let's change that to root URL too. Okay, so that should work. Let's save it and test it to make sure. Add a new item, read a book. And it redirected us here. If we click show and then edit this thing, put some exclamation marks. Okay, it redirects us back here. Cool. These are all false because they haven't been checked off yet. But if we come over here and edit one of them, check it as completed, and now it's listed as true. Okay, so it seems to be working. So we have the basic functionality of our app. Now let's play around with this and make it look cool. I'm gonna use the Bootstrap CSS framework to style this thing. So I'm gonna head over to rubygems.org and search for Bootstrap. And this is the latest version, 4.1 point something. So I grab the gem file, head back over, or the gem reference, head back over to our gem file, and I'm just gonna paste this in. Save it, and then give it a bundle update. Oops. And while that's doing that, I'm gonna head over here and look at the documentation because there's a couple of things we need to do in order to install this. So first things first, we need to add this line to a custom CSS file. So we'll do that in apps, assets, style sheets, and I'm just gonna create a new one, call it bootstrapper.css.scss. And inside of that, we'll paste that. Next, it wants us to put this in our application.js file. That's in apps, assets, JavaScript right here. Save that and close it. And I think that's all. Yep. So now we need to stop our server and restart it because we've changed things in the asset pipeline here. It needs to recompile and do its stuff. Plus we added a new gem to the gem file. Run bundle install missing gems. Okay. Oh, it's still doing its thing. Okay, so that's finished. Let's go bundle install just to make sure. Soup, done. Okay, so let's run our project. Code is running. So now if we hit reload, okay, everything changed a little bit because the Bootstrap has been added. Very cool. So let's head over to Bootstrap and click on the documentation. And the first thing I want is a nav bar at the top of the screen. So let's scroll down to nav bar. And let's just grab one here. And this is the light. I want actually the dark one, so we'll make a quick change. So let's come to our lists, create a new file, create a partial, navbar.html.erb. Open it up, paste all that stuff in. We want to change this from light to dark. Okay, now let's open our layouts application.html. And first I want to create a div with a class of container. This is a Bootstrap thing. And then above this, let's render our lists navbar. Save this, come back here and hit reload. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now let's modify this a little bit. So I want to change the color of this to dark and get rid of these links and change this. So let's go back to our navbar, start down here. Instead of success, we want secondary as the button type. And then we can get rid of this disabled link, the drop-down link, and those two links. And instead of saying navbar, let's create a link with embedded Ruby, link _to. Let's call this to-do list. Give it a root path and a class of navbar brand. Get rid of that. Save this. So if we go to show, now we can click here and it goes back home. Okay, so that seems to be working. Next, well, let's get rid of this listing lists header and let's change this into a Bootstrap table. So go to content, tables, and we basically just want this table here. So let's go to our lists index, and where it says table, let's just give this a class equals table. Let's get rid of this heading. Save this. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's see if we want a border. Scroll through here and see table bordered. So we can copy this. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of these headers as well. Just take out this whole section. Okay, now if one of these rows is true, that means it's already been marked off and we want to make it dark. So let's scroll through here. So we can call this secondary on its table. So let's head back over here to our index page, and we need to determine whether or not a thing has been completed. If it's completed, it needs to be dark gray. If it hasn't, it needs to be regular. So let's do an if statement here using some embedded Ruby. And if list.completed is true, do all this stuff. Else, do something else, and end. So give this a class of table secondary if it's been completed. Otherwise, don't. So let's save this and reload and take a look. Okay, so this is true and it's dark. So we can get rid of this column here saying whether it's false or not. It's just list completed. Same thing down here. Okay, now I also want this text to have a line through it if it's been completed, just to add a little more style. So let's create some custom CSS. Let's come up to our apps, assets, style sheet, and in that Bootstrapper file we already created, I'm just gonna put a little custom CSS here. It's just text decoration with a line through. Now we can come back to our index page, and if it has been completed, then this TD needs a class of striker. Save that, reload, and boom. Cool. So now let's make, instead of the edit button here, let's make each of these editable. So I'm just gonna come over here to our edit, and this is just, I'm just gonna grab this, and let's wrap our list description in a link _to, well actually we could just paste. Forget the equal to sign. And instead of edit, we want it to be list description. All right, that should work. I'm gonna copy this whole thing and come back down and do it again right here. So now we can get rid of this show, we can get rid of this edit, and same thing down here. Save it and reload. So now we can click on this and it goes to walk the dogs. We can edit it. If we update it, boom, it's been updated. Now we're getting these things here at the top. Let's make this look a little nicer using Bootstrap as well. So let's go back to our lists and create a new file. Let's create another partial called flash.html.erb. And in there, I'm just gonna paste this code. This just handles the Flash messages and does a little bootstrapping with it, puts a little X on there. We'll see this in a second. So I'm gonna save this. And then in our application.html.erb file, inside of this container, let's render lists Flash. So this will handle all those Flash messages, but now we need to go into each of these individual pages and get rid of this notice on top. Save it. Also in the show page. Yep. Save this. All right, so now if we click on this and add an exclamation point, boom, we get this nice little message thing at the top. We can delete it. Very cool. Okay, so let's add another link here with a button that allows us to make these checked off or on right here on this page. So head back to our index.html.erb file, and we need to do this twice. So right here, this is if a thing has been completed, so it's already crossed off. And then down here in our else section, this has not been completed. Let's save this and just take a look. Make sure this looks right. Okay, so these have not been completed. This has been completed. So if a thing has been completed, it's been crossed off, I'm just gonna paste in this little form. So this is a form for our list and has the text field of description, which is our item, but it's hidden. And then it has the checkbox. It's also hidden, using visibility hidden, and we've set it to false by default. And then we have this button that says uncross. So I can do the same thing down here for our not been completed button. Just gonna paste this same code in, but instead of, for the checkbox, we want this to be true because we're submitting this form and we're changing the checkbox status, and that checkbox is just this little checkbox right here. So if the item has been completed, we check that and it has a line through it when we go back. But now if we hit reload, boom, this button will be right here. So uncross, these all say uncross. Okay, the bottom one needs to be changed, the text on the button itself. So let's see, where's our if statement? Go back to our index page, scroll down, find our else. Okay, so this should be, let's say cross off. How's that sound? Okay, so if we want to take out the trash, we can cross it off. It redirects to the main page. If we want to uncross it again, boom, that works. Cool. So let's change this destroy to these kind of buttons as well. So head back up here, link to destroy, and we could just give it a class. This is a Bootstrap thing of btn-outline-danger. And let's make this button small, btn small. Okay, so just copy this down to the other button. And instead of destroy, let's say delete. Sounds a little nicer, right? Destroy. Okay, so let's save this. Delete, delete, delete. Cool. Does it work? Yep, awesome. So now we need to change this form up here so that when we actually add something in here and click the button, it'll add it to our list. So this form partial right here is the partial that handles most of the stuff in our app. So I'm just gonna copy this and let's make another one of these and call it form_index.html.erb. And inside of there, we can just paste that same form stuff. Now we need to make a couple of changes because we want this form to look like the form on our index page already. So here is all of the stuff. And I'm just going to delete it and paste in this stuff. And I'm getting this code from our navbar. This is the stuff that came with our navbar code from Bootstrap. I've just tweaked it a little bit, make it Ruby on Rails like. I added these embedded Ruby tags. So if we save this and now head over to our navbar partial where the form is here at the bottom, instead of calling that form, I'm just going to call that partial we just created render, what do we call it? Form index. All right, hopefully that worked. Hit reload. Nope, what did we do? We forgot to tweak our controller. Since the form used to work on a different method in our controller, we need to change it to the index method. So head over to our controllers, list controller. See, we're on the index page, we're in the index method. If we want to create a new item, we need to copy this into our index method. Save that, now this should work. Okay, so walk, we already have walk the dogs. Let's read a book. I read a lot of books. So if we add this, all right, read a book, it works. Cool, so we can cross this off. Eat lunch. All right, meet April for a drink. All right, let's cross that off. Cool, so the main functionality of our app now works. We have a couple of more things we want to do really quickly. Okay, so we can get rid of this link. We don't need it anymore since we have this thing up here. Now I want to replace it with two links. One of them will delete all of the items that have already been crossed off, and the other one will delete just all the items. So I'm going to come over here to our controller, and let's create a new controller to do this just for fun. Let's call it home controller.rb. And I'm going to open it up and just paste in some code. And we're going to create two methods, trash them and trash them all. And trash them will get rid of all of the marked items. Trash them all will just get rid of all items. So we're calling the database here list where completed equals true. So find all the items that have already been marked off and destroy them. And then redirect to our main page, put this little message up. Likewise down here, we're going to call a database. We're going to make a database query. We're going to find all the items in our list and then destroy them. Same thing, redirect back. So that should work. Now we just need to create links for them back on our index page. So let's go to lists index.html, and down here where this guy is, let's just create a couple of links. Link to, and let's say delete marked items. And that's the home dash trash dash path. And I'm just going to copy this and delete all items. It's the home trash underscore all path. And head up here to our delete button and grab this data confirm thing. So this will put up a little message that says, are you sure? You know what I mean? Because that's sort of important. So we can just paste that in to each one. Get rid of that old link. Okay, so let's put a little bar between these. Save this. Hit reload. We need routes. So we can go to our config, close some of these, config routes file, and let's create a couple of routes for home trash and home trash all. Save that. All right, that should work. So delete marked items. Are you sure? Yes. Now delete all items. Okay, so it works. Repopulate my list. Walk the dogs. Eat lunch. Buy groceries. And most importantly, meet April for a drink. It is actually Friday, and I actually did just buy groceries. All right, so this is the app. Now we flew through this very quickly. I copied and pasted some code, didn't really talk about it in great detail. If you're interested in this, if you're interested in going into a deeper dive with this, I have this Ruby on Rails to-do list app course over on my website, codemy.com. It's $29 for the course. It goes into all of this in great detail, 29 videos, a little over 2 hours long, and money back guarantee, of course, 30 days, no questions asked. Each course on my website, and I've got a whole bunch of them. We've got Ruby, Ruby on Rails, Python, cryptocurrency stuff, Django, JavaScript, SQL, all kinds of other Rails stuff, Ruby for game development, PHP, Steemit cryptocurrency stuff, really interesting. More PHP, some Ubuntu, WordPress, HTML, CSS, SEO, even email marketing. All of these courses you can get on my website with total membership for just $49. So each course is $29 each, but if you want to sign up for all of them, it's only $49. I think it's a fantastic deal. And you get all of my courses, all of my future courses. I'm always adding new courses every couple of weeks. I add a new one. You get it absolutely free when that happens. This is a one-time fee. You don't have to pay monthly. There's no charges ever again, just $49 for all of my courses. I think I have 22 or 23 courses right now, hundreds of videos, 50,000 members, overwhelming high reviews. But if you're not satisfied for any reason, absolute money back guarantee. Just shoot me a message and say, hey, I don't like this, and I'll immediately give you your money back. So check it out if you're interested. I go into everything in much greater detail. We flew through this very, very quickly in this video, but yeah, we do some cool stuff. I have a Ruby on Rails stock market app, a Ruby on Rails cryptocurrency portfolio app that creates a cool little portfolio that you can track your cryptocurrencies if you own any of those. Really fun. Create a superhero name generator app. That's fun. Just all kinds of stuff. So head over to my website, check it out if you're interested. Like I said, $49 for all my courses, all my future courses. I think it's a pretty good deal. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. My name is John Elder from Codemy.com, and I'll see you next time.